Hey everyone, my name is Chloe, and today I'm here to do my weekly wrap-up. So in the last week, it was August 3rd to August 9th, and so we are deep in Deca TBR-a-thon, and I honestly think it has slowed down my reading, just because I need to wait for patrons to pick, and I'm not reading as much because of like the whole process of it. But I think I found my groove, so hopefully. We've got a lot of middle grade to talk about, and then a few adults. So some of the middle grade you won't have seen yet in daily vlogs, or you may have seen, but they're not for Deca TBR-a-thon. I don't know. So we're just going to talk about it, see how it goes. As always, I will put the time down below of when I start talking about adult in case you don't care about the middle grade. But I read the entire trilogy of Salma, the Salma series. And Salma is Salma Makes a Home, Salma Writes a Book, and Salma Joins the Team. These three books are about a little girl named Salma who immigrates from Syria. And so in this first one, she and her mom moved from Syria, and they're starting to get things ready for the dad to come too. And they moved to Canada. So it's English speaking, similar culture to here in America, but a little bit different. And she is really worried that her dad will not like Canada and he'll want to go back to Syria. So when he gets there, we get to see the struggles of immigrating to a country where you don't speak the language, where you are treated poorly, where things are really hard. And yet this was really digestible for my 6-year-old, and we got to have a lot of good conversation about it. And so this is really good. And then in this one, we find out her mom is pregnant, and so she decides to write a book about how to be a great big sibling. And she realizes she has no idea and that there's a lot involved. And so she starts observing those around her. And her uncle is like in town. And her mom and her uncle love each other. Yet her mom very much disapproves of her uncle having a husband. And so there's conversation around that. Like, how do you love him despite the fact that it violates your values, the Syrian values? And how do we kind of love unconditionally, and how do we love our siblings? And I really like this. Then we have Salma Joins the Team. She wants to join her school swim team, and yet being in a swimsuit again violates the Syrian values of modesty and being covered up and all of that. So how can we make both work? I really love this series, and it was a really good way again to introduce culture to my girls. So continuing with that, we have more of the Anna Hibiscus series. Anna Hibiscus is a little girl in Nigeria, and she actually, ironically, went to visit Canada in one of the previous books. She went to visit one of her grandmothers. So in this one, she's coming home and kind of reacclimating to life in Nigeria. And then in this one, she goes to the village where her family is from, because here, most of the time, they live in the city. And her grandparents are getting old, and so they want to go back to the village where they're from. Very rural living. And so Anna Hibiscus goes with her cousins, and things are much different there. So each of these books is like 4 stories, and they're all so good, and just give us a glimpse into that Nigerian culture. Then I read The Fenway Foul-Up, which is number 1 in the Ballpark Mystery series by David A. Kelly, and these are really basic cozy mysteries. Like, this is an introduction to cozy mysteries for your 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade reader. And so they all take place in different Major League Baseball parks. And so this one is about a stolen bat, and these 2 cousins have to figure out who took the bat. And then I have 2 middle grade graphic novels. So we have Shirley and Jamila Save Their Summer. Shirley and Jamila are both young girls who have different things they want to do for the summer, and their moms are very overprotective. And their moms come together and say, okay, you guys can go within this perimeter as long as you stay together. Shirley wants to just do some amateur sleuthing stuff, and she's so observant. I admire her because I'm not observant like that. And Jamila just wants to play basketball and enjoy the summer, enjoy the outdoors, all of that. So they do, and they kind of violate their perimeter one time to help their friends who got a stolen backpack at the pool. And so they're trying to figure out who done it and all of that. This was okay. I have no desire to continue on in the series. It was just okay. And then last for middle grade is the Runaway Princess. This is about a little girl princess who runs away to a bunch of fantastical worlds. I do like that this was really interactive. There's a lot of times where it tells you to put your finger through the maze, or turn the page quietly, or shake your book, or whatever. It was very interactive. This one did give my 6-year-old nightmares, and it's not super scary, but there's some of the fantastical world she gets in are scarier than others. So there's that. So those are the middle grade I read. Now I read 3 adults. So we have The Beachside Bed and Breakfast by Hope Ramsey. And this one, honestly, I remember very little about it, and I read it this week. That's how great this was. I gave it 2.5 stars. It's about a girl named Ashley. She runs a bed and breakfast. She's a widower. She lost her husband, I think, in Afghanistan. And now she has a romance with a reverend. And it just is weird. It's weird. It is not super clean. It is very lusty, a little bit of language. And all of this lusting over a pastor feels weird. Getting inside the head of the pastor felt weird. Like, it all just felt weird. And so, yeah, I didn't love this. Then we have The Lost Story by Meg Schaefer, and this is her sophomore novel. I really like The Wishing Game, and I didn't like this one quite as much, but this is about 2 guys who, when they were like teenagers, they went missing in these woods, and now one of them remembers what happened but can't tell anybody, and the other one has no memory. The one who remembers, his name is Jeremy, and Jeremy now his job is to help find missing people. So this girl named Emily says, hey, my sister is missing. Can you help me find her? He's like, sure, that's my job. Let's do it. But she's like, she's actually missing in the same woods where you went missing. Can you still help me? And he said, no. And then she eventually convinces him, and he says, okay, but we need the other guy to come too. So they rekindle their friendship, and they go into the woods. And in the woods is a very fantastical place. So similar to Chronicles of Narnia, this is kind of a retelling. They go into this world in the woods and discover all the things about where they were when they were missing, as well as where her sister is and what's going on with that. I will say this got way too deep in romantasy for me. This one got too far in the romance, too far in the fantasy. I felt like the romance, despite the fact that these are like 30-year-olds, because it's 15 years after they went missing, they're like 30-year-olds. This felt like a YA romance. The fantasy got a little bit beyond me, but I am not a fantasy reader. I think if I reread it, maybe the fantasy would be a little more palatable for me, but the romance kind of threw this off. All of it, just like the first half was a very contemporary book set with like just kind of magical realism background, and then we got deep into the fantasy and it kind of lost me, but that's just me as a reader. And then the last one is the House of Glass by Sarah Pekkanen, and I debated between getting The Lost Story or House of Glass as my July book of the month, and I picked this one, and I kind of regret it because I really liked House of Glass, and so I went ahead and added House of Glass to my August order, and it's not here yet, but this one is about a woman who is the lawyer in charge of deciding what's best for a child in a murder case or a wrongful death case. So this 9-year-old girl witnessed her nanny either being pushed or falling or something from the window and dying. Now, this 9-year-old girl is mute, and the judge in the case is like, hey, I need you to go be the lawyer that decides what is best for this child as far as custody and all the things, because she experienced a trauma when she was young and also went mute after that for a while. So he's like, you're the best one for the case. I know you can do it, blah, 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 blah. She normally doesn't take clients that young, but she says, okay, she'll do it. So she goes and immerses herself in this family to try to figure out which parent is best, what the best custody situation is, what happened to the nanny, all of that. I mean, she's not really supposed to figure out what happened to the nanny, but we're figuring that out too as it goes. And I was really intrigued the whole time, honestly. It definitely gives creepy kid vibes, which is something I love. It's a relatively limited cast of characters, so you kind of know who the possibilities are, but I was surprised enough by the end. It wasn't the most satisfying ending, but I was happy with it, and overall, like, it really did a good job of setting kind of a creepy stage where our main character didn't know if she was safe or in trouble or what, and I really liked it. It was really good. So that is everything that I read in the last week. Overall, it was really fun, really good reading. I'm like I said, I feel like I'm finally kind of getting my footing with Deca TBR-a-thon and how it all works and how to pick things so I'm not like waiting on things. And I did like the Selma books and stuff. They were not Deca TBR-a-thon picks because they read pretty fast, and all the books I read with the kids are not, so most of them read pretty fast, and not all of this was Deca TBR-a-thon. But so I think that's what I'm going to do going forward in the month is pick as many as I can. And Becca and I, my co-host and I, are not on teams, and so we're not technically logging our points. However, her and I have a friendly competition going, and we are members of each other's Patreons. So I see every time she, and YouTube, of course, every time she does a short or has a poll, I see it, and I'm like, uh-oh, I gotta hurry, because I am competitive to a fault. Anyway, so that is everything for the week. Let me know what you read. If there's any of this that you read that you have other opinions or the same opinions, let me know all the thoughts. And we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for watching.
She needs a kiss.
Oh, she needs a kiss.
Yeah. Did you see her face?
Hi.
I went to grab her. She said, "Mommy, kiss." And then she ran over here and started making that